And so in this edition of Food Chain, this will be our focus. We'll be looking at cassava production and how we can promote it. And so we are here at Bosomcheche, somewhere in the Ashanti region, to understand it and speak to some farmers. My name is Prince Apia. I hope you enjoy this discussion. Stay with us.
Harvest time is here, and these farm hands will collect these tubers of cassava from the soil and gather them in groups. This is after the plow has taken some 30 to 1 hour to plow this acre of land. The land after the harvest will then be ready for another planting because the new planting season has begun.
I'm a pastor and a farmer as well.
Evans Tremensa is the farmer who owns this farm sitting on almost 500-acre land at Bosomcheche in the Asante Mampon area of the Ashanti region. The farmer, who specializes in cassava production, doubles as a pastor who is the founder of Good Hope Chapel in Santase, a suburb in Kumasi.
I think that I got interested when I once visited a friend in a village when during one of our village evangelism campaigns. Then I visited a friend, then we went to his farm, and then he showed me what he was doing. I think they were doing cassava, and then I asked him about it, and then he said, well, they are doing it in a smaller scale, and then they sell it to some women who come for it to do gari. So I asked a little bit about it, and I said, okay, I'm interested. So what about if I want to do some? And then he decided that, okay, he will get a land for me to rent. So he did give me the land. I rented it for a year, about 4 acres. And then later on, I rented additional 2 acres in addition to it. And then I started the cassava. He actually was, because he was already into it, he to do cassava as well. He got the planting material for me, and then I started. So when I started, I realized that after a year, I saw that the produce that came out was massive. I got almost about 8 tractors, from 4 acres, because 2 got destroyed by flying guys, and then I got 4 out of the 6. But I was able to secure almost about 8 tractors from it, and which I thought that was very profitable. So I decided, okay, so I will rather want to go into a large scale, like expand it. And then I heard that there was a cassava enterprise project being championed by Agricimpact, and then I applied, and then God being so good, I got admitted on it. What happened was that the criteria at the time, I was told that they were supposed to, the commercial farming, they were trying to raise cassava industrialization and build a cassava industry. So they were trying to do a pilot to see how it would go. All right, so some of us got opportunity to be on it, and then when we started, we were encouraged to get large tracts of land on our own. So I did negotiate with the chief in the village, and then he admitted to give me that portions of land, and that was how I was able to secure that project. And God being so good, I've been very, very excited.
From this initial experience, Mr. Tre Mensah decided to go full scale. In addition to other challenges, access to capital has killed many dreams of agribusinesses, especially farmers. Part of Mr. Tre's farm was razed by fire early this year, but this won't break him. Mr. Tremensah believes access to ready market before starting the farming business has been a savior.
I believe that the way we do agriculture should have a relook at, because I believe that initially we used to do farm to market, farming, but now it should be market to farm approach of farming, because if you do your farm, you have the produce but you don't have market for it, you're going to have a lot of problems. But when you have market already before you start your farm, you know that right after the harvest there is a market for it, there is a buyer, so we did a research to know those who are going to buy. Like I told you earlier on, that even those who were they're doing it already before I came, they had market at that village, women who were already doing the garri. So by the time they finish harvesting their produce, the women are just there to take away, so we realized that would be the best approach to farming. So we had processors already across the country who are already into large scale processing of cassava into value addition. For example, like Cartec in the Volta region, they process cassava into ethanol. There's another company called Twin Rock at Afran Place. They do garri. They process the cassava to garri. They process it into cassava flour, and then they also do starch. So that is a huge demand for cassava. So we have a MOU with them that they will come and offtake everything that we plant. They will offtake it, and not only me but some of my colleagues as well. So the market is ready for it for us. So you don't need to bother yourself about who is going to buy it from you. By the time by 9 months to 12, you will start again. So the market is key, and I think that we need to really work on effective market demand, how we can be able to get more markets for the local economy and also for export, and have more foreign direct investment coming in. So we have the market is big, it's still expanding, and I'm sure that even when we even add our processing factory to what we are doing, what is going to happen is that now we have expanded the market to all the other farmers, all the other outgrowers, those who are going to do cassava. So you will see that a lot of people will now be moving to cassava, because they know that right after the harvest there is a processing a factory or a processor in town or just close to them who is going to take everything. And that's what we are trying to do. We are trying to put a lot of the women into you don't have any problem with a buyer trying to manipulate you or trying to just take it at the price that they want.
The impact of the continuous hikes in fuel prices is impacting the business of Mr. Tre and his other colleague farmers nationwide. Employing the services of tractors to help with the farm work has become difficult.
I mean, it has really affected it, because fuel prices, affect everything. Okay, and we are no exception, because fuel price will affect diesel. The cost of diesel will affect the labor. Okay, because initially, if we plow 1 acre, we're paying 120 Ghana cedi. Today is 250 Ghana. You get it? And that is astronomical increase because of fuel prices. Within which space? Within a space of 3 months. Okay, they had a meeting and decided that all the tractors had been from a drought to this place. That when they plow, it's between 200 to 250, negotiable, depending on how skillful you are to negotiate. But it will not go below 200. You get it, and that is very, very serious. That means that the cost of production is going to will go up. It will affect labor. It will affect even the input, farm input, how we buy fertilizer. Everything has gone up, So it will. For instance, this year I decided to expand it to about 600 to 700 acres. I may not be able to do it because of the increment in fuel prices. I may still stay around 400 to 500, okay, because I want to maintain it and do it well, okay, because of the rising cost of production, which will affect logistics, which will affect distribution, which will affect food prices as well. So we are praying that the government will do something around it and try to help out to subsidize farm inputs and the fuel for us, so that we can be able to do much for this season. That means that if we do a production cost for 1 acre for cassava, okay, it means that we are heading around 4,000 Ghana cedi for an acre, which is too much. Initially we did about 2,000, between 1,800 to 2,300. And they're going to do 4,000 per acre. It means that the flow has really changed the dynamics of how we should do farm. And I think that we really want to ask the government to help us.
Mr. Chairman will expand and employ many young people in and around the Bosomcheche community, employing more than 20 farm hands. For him, the potential of cassava is being underexplored. He believes it could drive many young people into employment, plus generate so much revenue for the state if given the needed attention. But government must be deliberate with its policies to drive the crop.
So you are still watching Food Chain with me, Prince Apia, here on JoyNews. We are still here with Reverend Evans Tre Mensah, who has been telling us about his cassava farm and how he's been going about it. So, Mr. Tre Mensah, let's talk about how you see the cassava industry, if I may put it. You have so much passion for it, and you seem to understand it in a different way. Why do you say it can't be very competitive to the revenue that cocoa is generating for the country?
The cassava as a commodity is very strategic for our country if we really focus on it, because since 2008 alone, Ghana produced over 20 million tons of cassava, and out of these 20 million tons of cassava, maybe less than about 10% was used for industrial purposes. The rest was for just human consumption. So that means that the value that we could get out of cassava, we didn't get. The derivatives that we get from cassava are plenty. If we're able to industrialize cassava, what we will get, the value we will get from cassava, personally, I think that it may sound controversial, but I think that we will be able to, if not overtake cocoa, we can get closer to cocoa, what we get from cocoa, because the value from cassava is enormous. The varieties can be processed into so many things. Okay, using cassava to increase productivity and also spur the economic growth. So I see that cassava is huge and the potential is so much. I mean, the value chain for starch alone is inexhaustible. The value chain for ethanol, inexhaustible. You get it? The value chain for Gary, the global market for Gary is around $5 billion. The global market for starch is around $35 million. The The global market for ATM is around $75 million. I beg your pardon, $1 billion. So what can we do to tap into this potential? And my campaign is that if we focus on cassava alone, okay, notwithstanding or forgetting all other crops, just alone on cassava, we can get so much for our people.
You're trying to say that if the investment and particularly attention is given to cassava in these areas you are talking about, you are going to earn so much from it. What kind of pragmatic policies you think government can put in place, obviously, to ensure that some of these things you kind of see can be materialized or can be encouraged?
You realize that over the years, successive governments have tried to come close to cassava, you know, to be able to industrialize. Remember, during the President Kufuor's time, they started this PSI project, you know, and then later on, President Mills came. They were trying to implement cassava, you know, and then President Mahama too, you know, tried it, you know. So government is romanticizing around the cassava, that I haven't seen a very strong policy direction, okay, towards it. Now, if policymakers decide that they want to increase cassava flour, okay, intake in addition to wheat flour, okay, we will reduce flour importation, okay, by 30%, and we use that 30% for cassava flour. That one alone, if it become a policy, that one alone, so if it become a policy that, okay, what every flour mixture of bread or cakes or pastry that you are doing with flour, wheat flour, whatever, you must mix it with cassava flour. It becomes a policy. In that sense, there will be a strong demand for cassava flour, and because there's a strong demand for cassava flour, there will be a strong market for it. And because there's a strong market for it, a lot of people will now begin to look at it. And because people look at it that way, we will see the opportunities. People will now begin to go into it. The value chain along the cassava industry alone is huge. You know,
a lot of farmers,
there will be service providers, input providers, there will be supply chain, people who do only the logistics, people who do only the planting material, people who do only the processing, those who do the distribution, those who do the marketing, those who do even the packaging, and even the disposables. Because cassava, when you peel it, that one alone can even be used for animal feed. You get it? So there is huge potential along the value chain for cassava, and if government, okay, concentrates on that and says that we want to now industrialize cassava, okay, let's take step by step.
There are government initiatives like the free SHS and school feeding programs, exactly, and all that. So perhaps if, you know, some of these suggestions are incorporated in these initiatives and the cassava flour is being used, I think that demand will be there.
Exactly.
The government is the best.
The government is the best partner in projects like this. Exactly. And I think that if government takes the step, okay, because they have the structure, they have the power, you know, they have the resources to be able to do much than the private person would do. So I will really employ the government of the day. I want to appeal to them that they should bring their attention to the cassava industry, because it can really change the trajectory of our country's economy. If you have Chinese companies that have come inside Ghana, they've set up processing companies, you know, to process cassava, starch, and take everything away. So why can't we capitalize and leverage on cassava? We have it. We have the land. You know, we have young people, plenty people around who want to do farming. They're looking for opportunities.
What do you think has
a lot of campaign and attention has not been given to it? Okay, and that is why we are here. So perhaps maybe some government official will hear us and now begin to now think about it. They will talk to the Minister for Agri. The presidency will also give attention to it, and then all of us stakeholders will come on board, and they will be able to drive this cassava agenda. I think that if we are able to do cassava, okay, on a large scale, to take it to another level as a country, within the space of 5 years, we can see serious change happening in our economy. Serious change. The challenge again is that is because of funding. Access to credit and funding is a big issue, and then I think that the government must be able to put in place strategies to be able to help farmers access soft credit, with a very low interest rate and some kind of space to be able to do this business and take it to another level. The other thing is that we have to also have a strategy. You see the strategy is that sometimes it shouldn't only be speeches and pronouncement. Okay, there should be an intentional approach to making this thing happen and getting to see it happen to its logical conclusion. Okay, that we won't just mention it, say it, and then it comes into the newspaper and then we sit back. We must get to the grounds and see it for ourselves whether it's there, it's working. We have to have a very strong monitoring system to see that the young people are doing it and they are making it happen on the ground. And I think that the youth of Ghana are hungry. They have the energy. They have so much ambition. They want to do something, and that's why personally I saw the profit in this thing. I realized that why if only one person, okay, could do this, what about 10 people, even if not at this scale, but on their own, some way somehow they will be engaged. Their energies will be mobilized into a very productive way. They will make profit. They will have decent life. They will have a stake in the national
development,
life, the development agenda of the country, and then also it will really take away frustrations and if you like lack of hope for our young people. They will begin to see future. Okay, they will build better lives for their lives and their families. And it will come in the agri space, because the agri space is so huge that it accommodates everybody and anybody, irrespective of whether you are even working or not, because the value chain, the supply chain, the systems, the actors and the interactions along the chains are huge, and everybody can be part of it, especially when we are going to use technology to drive agriculture. And the youth are very interested in technology. They have a knack for it. I mean, this is the time. There's no better time like what we have now to be able to engage our youth, to be able to help them. So my campaign actually is to ignite that interest, because somebody will say, so after that what? But before that, you need the interest, because if the interest is not there, I mean, nothing. You can give the person tractor, you can give the person land, you can give the person money, but if the person doesn't have the desire and the interest, okay, nothing will happen. But if the interest is there, the desire is there, sometimes the desire alone can help the person surmount every seeming impossibilities before him, to be able to actualize his dream. So the desire is key, the interest is key, before we transition them from that interest into the actual work, and then to see the outcome of the work that they've done.
In the wake of this, Mr. Choi is putting together a series of events to expose the youth to this gold he claimed to have struck.
Right now what I'm doing is that having done this, I think that we have to be able to encourage a lot of people to go into it. So I put together a conference I called Ghana Youth Agriculture Summit. That is to be able to drive a very strong conversation around it, and to create the interest, to ignite the interest in the life of the youth, because I believe that desire, is key, in driving value. Because if the person doesn't have the interest, okay, no matter what you give to him or her, it won't amount to anything. But if the person gets the interest, okay, and sees the value in what you are talking about, all right, the value alone will drive the passion, and that will help the person to be able to overcome every seeming impossibility that person may encounter. So the conversation is key. The summit is to drive that narrative, to speak to the issues, the challenges of the youth in accessing credits, the challenges of the youth in accessing land, our land tenure system in Ghana, how they can have land to do the farming, market access to soft loans, certain logistical constraints that they may encounter. We have to deal with all these issues at the conference, and also how to transition them from the conference to the actual work on the ground. And that is very important, because after speaking, we must do the work, the action, and we have to be able to connect the speaking to the action. And that's what I am very interested in. So we have put a strategy on the ground, how we can be able to help them to really do the work. That is why I brought some of the government agencies on board to be able to help us, what is the government policy, what is the government strategy in funding for youth who want to go into agriculture, agribusiness, even the mining areas. How do we transition them from galamsey, to agribusinesses, so that we can spare the economy and then drive the development of the nation, on a larger scale.
We want to mobilize over 1 million youth across the country over a period of 3 to 5 years, and I think that it is possible. And I believe that value drives passion. If we want the young people to be involved, they must see the value in what you want them to be involved, and when they get the value, it will drive them over every impossibility. And on the 9th of April at the KNUST Engineering Auditorium, we are galvanizing all the youth across the country. We will move from KNUST, we'll go to Accra, from there we'll go to Tawa, from there we'll go to Home, we'll go to Tamale, all over the nation. That will really bring them decent income for them to need to have better future. So it is something that
Agric is the best.
And Agric is the best. This is a big space. It can accommodate everyone. The value chain is huge, supply chain huge, and I believe that this is the time. We don't have much luxury. We have to really get to work and make it happen. And I believe that as the government people are coming on board, donor agencies, the media like you and multimedia, thank you so much. I'm very grateful for this gesture, and I believe that we can do much for our country if all of us get on board.
And so that has been your food chain for this edition. It is obvious that all stakeholders must come on board and come to the table to ensure that the economic benefits of cassava is maximized. My name is Prince Apia, and beautifully we've been enjoying the shade here under some of the cassava plants, and it's been exciting, an edition of Food Chain. Thank you very much, and I hope you join us same time next week for another edition.